I'm Shannon Harris. Thanks for tuning in to Window in Wilmington. On today's show, we'll tell you what Wilmington Awards are and how they impact the people from your community. We'll also have information on this year's Summer Blood Challenge from the Blood Bank of Delmarva. We'll let you know about CARE Delaware's work with the Alzheimer Association of Delaware Valley Chapter, and we'll tell you how you can be a part of Tour de Cure, an event that helps to raise awareness and funding for diabetes. But first, Delaware's Department of Education is committed to promoting the highest quality of education for every Delaware student by providing visionary leadership and superior service. Secretary of Education Mark Murphy is here now to tell us about new initiatives with the whole education system and the Department of Education. And I'm glad you could be here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, I have to ask you, Mr. Secretary, where do Delaware students stand as far as the dropout rate?
Yes, well, we were excited to announce last month that we reached a 30-year low in the dropout
exciting.
rate.
Yay,
Yes,
yay,
best
yay.
number in 30 years. It was a full percentage drop from 3.9% dropout rate in 2000 at the end of 2012 to a 2.9% dropout rate at the end of last year. So we are at a 30-year low with 2.9%.
Now, how's Wilmington doing? I know that while we are looking at this 30-year low,
Yes.
Wilmington might not be doing as good as other school districts in various parts of the state.
That's right. And so as we look at Wilmington, we know that there are 4 school districts in the city of Wilmington. If we look at all 4 of the school districts, we are seeing increases in graduation rates from high school, and we are seeing decreases in dropout rates. So all 4 of the districts that address Wilmington students and serve Wilmington students are seeing those numbers go in the right direction. We do have, if we just look specifically at the zip codes in and around Wilmington, we do see a slightly higher dropout rate than we do statewide, approximately 5%.
Okay. Why do you think that Wilmington still sees a higher dropout rate? I know there's no real okay, I'm going to tell you why, Shannon, but why do you think that Wilmington still has a little bit higher of a rate?
Sure. Well, obviously the dropout rate here in Delaware and all around the country is linked to many of the challenges that the students have at home and many of the challenges that they have in their communities. The beauty of this is that those challenges are not insurmountable. We can address all of those challenges and we can keep our kids in school, but many of our children in the city of Wilmington are dealing with additional challenges than other kids around the state.
Well, and that brings me to the next question I wanted to ask you now. You all have ramped up new initiatives in the department to kind of address, dropout rates, the higher standards, and, do you think most parents are even aware of them right now?
What the surveys show is that only some of the parents are aware of these strategies. Most parents are plugged into their school. Right? They know what's going on with their child, with their teacher, maybe what's going on school-wide, but very few parents know what's going on at a state level. Right? They're most interested in their own children. And so there are 4 things that I would highlight for parents as it pertains to making sure that our children are successful in high school, that obviously they're not dropping out, but more importantly that they're graduating and that they're ready to be successful. So the first I would highlight is that all of us, our educators and parents, we need to instill in our children a sense of self-efficacy. This idea that you are not born smart, you get smart, and you get smart through hard work. And it is effective effort, hard work, that leads to success. And we have to instill that in our children, because most children don't believe that. They kind of believe that you're either born smart or you're not born smart.
Right.
But that's not true, and the research doesn't back that up. So we have to instill that in our kids. The second thing is, we've got to provide our children, especially in those high school years, with courses that they believe are rigorous, that these are actually tough and challenging. Kids are motivated by that, and they tell us that in survey after survey, and relevant, that this actually matters for me, that me as a 14-year-old and taking this class, that it will matter for me later. And so we as educators need to do a really good job there. The third thing is that the research is super clear that 9th grade is a critical year. So we've been working on initiatives to better support our 9th graders as they come into high school. What we know is that if we look at all the kids in high school around Delaware and we ask, how many of these kids fall off track to graduate? Like they fail a class, they fall off track. 3/4 of them fall off track in 9th grade.
Really?
Yes, in 9th grade. It's a tough year, and half of the kids who fall off track in 9th grade historically have not graduated.
Really?
Yes, because they get behind in 9th grade, they get defeated, they feel bad about themselves, and so what we've been doing is putting supports in place. right? Like, welcome these children into our high schools. Bring them in early in August. Provide them with an opportunity to be a part of that high school community. Separate them in that high school. Provide them with a small environment. Right? So that's the third thing. And the fourth thing is that if our children fall off track, let's make sure we have supports in place that get them back on track. So we have seen Red Clay and Christina and districts all around the state do great work in that area. Most people call those credit recovery programs.
Okay.
What that basically means is that if a child struggles in 9th grade and fails a class, that we provide that child with another opportunity to make up those credits and get back on track. And we have seen great efforts all around the state in our districts and in our schools with doing that. And by the way, that doesn't always have to be in school. I was at the Latin American Community Center just down the road here a few weeks ago, and I met a student who had just gotten back on track to graduate after being completely off track.
Really?
And she attended the LACC, the Latin American Community Center, to do that, not her high school. She attended there. It was right around the corner from her house. So our districts are doing great work here, and we're seeing the fruits of those labor. We have 1,100 students that dropped out statewide last year. Right, that's a sad story in every one of those cases, but the numbers are headed in the right direction and decreasing.
Good. What is Common Core?
Yes.
Now, Common Core, that fits into all of this.
Yes, it absolutely does. So the second point that I raised there was around rigorous classes. The Common Core, very simply, is a set of academic standards for each grade level that tells parents, students, educators what a child needs to know and be able to do each year. Okay. It's that simple, right? And what the most important thing about that is that it provides students and parents and educators a ladder. So in 5th grade, I have to be on this rung of the ladder to be on track to be ready. And you know, in 10th grade, I have to be on this rung. And by the time then that I graduate, if I stay at a proficient level with those Common Core standards, then I will be ready to be successful beyond high school.
Right. Now, you mentioned that Wilmington kids might be dealing with a different set of issues. How does the school system, I guess, equip to deal with kids who might be dealing with a whole set of outside issues, you know, outside of their school setting, but then they're coming to school and, you know, if you've got a lot on your mind and things going on, you might not be able to be all that you can be because you're so busy stressing about this or that, you know.
That's right. So everything from did the child have breakfast in the morning to does the child need emotional and mental support outside of that school environment, that academic environment. And so the way that we see the schools dealing with that in the most successful ways is really through partnerships. And it's through partnerships with people like the food bank to offer free breakfast for all of our children. We've seen a really great increase in free breakfast in the Colonial School District, which also serves the city of Wilmington. Ideas like grab and go, that a child can get off the bus and grab some breakfast and go to class instead of having to go to the cafeteria and maybe be late for class. I mean, you know, as a parent, I know that my child's always rushing to class, and so that's part of it. Also, the governor last year was able to work with the legislature to ensure that we have mental health support in our middle schools. Right? That support had not been there very robustly, and so we now see mental health professionals available during those middle school years, which we know can be very challenging as those children go through those 13, 14-year-old years. So we have to provide them with those supports, and I think the best examples are when our schools are partnering with outside organizations and agencies to help do that.
Wow. I think I'm just very happy to hear that changes are being made to address and help these kids who might be struggling. You know, and I also know that now testing scores are different too, right? So the bar has been raised with that, but there's a support system in place to help everybody through, right?
That's right. So what we're seeing a few things right now. The first is that if we look at the last 2 years or even the last 10 years, what we see is the trajectory in Delaware of achievement scores is on an incredible upward trend. In fact, over the last 20 years, Delaware has increased student achievement faster than all but 2 other states. We're the 3rd fastest increasing state over the last 20 years. If we look over the last 10 years, and another example, over the last 10 years, we have doubled the number of high school students who have access to advanced placement classes while holding those passing scores. So more students in, and yet they're passing those assessments, which give them college credit, which obviously helps them to get into college, which helps them to defray the costs of college, really important. And just in the last 2 years, we've seen more than 10,000 more students reach proficiency. And just last year, we saw more individual students meet academic growth targets, individual academic growth targets, than before. So all of this is headed in an upward trend. Now that said, we have a long way to go. We have many of our children who are graduating from our high schools who are not ready to be successful beyond high school. And the Common Core Standards is a core initiative to really address that, to make sure that the framework, what a child needs to know and be able to do each year, is super clear, and that our educators are teaching to those standards and our children are reaching them. And so we are in the middle of implementation right now, and we will assess our students on those academic standards starting next year.
Before we go, we're almost out of time. 100 Men Reading Event. Now, I know this is a great way to encourage people to get involved.
Yes. It's fantastic. So in fact, I think I have an opportunity to join 100 Men Reading in the next month or two. And a number of community members in and around Wilmington have talked to me about this. I think at the end of the day, it's an incredible opportunity to provide our young children with role models, male role models who are reading. Right? Our children don't always see that. And so I think it's a beautiful opportunity for the men of Wilmington, especially, to be involved in this type of initiative.
What book are you going to pick?
Oh, you know, I'm always
Flowers
partial
for Algernon.
I'm always partial to Dr. Seuss books.
Dr. Seuss?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's not enough time to read Flowers for Algernon, huh?
Well, no, you've got 15 minutes with a child, right?
Yeah, and Flowers for Algernon is definitely not 15 minutes.
No, it's not.
Right, but I did like that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I'm so glad you came, and I hope you can join us again. Please come back.
Oh, please welcome me back.
I definitely will welcome you back, and maybe you might want to bring a teacher with you.
I
or
would love to.
Yeah, bring a teacher. We'd love to have a teacher.
Wonderful.
With you. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to hold you to that.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Up next, the Wilmington Awards when we return. Yay, you did great. You're a great...
Believe me, I'm good at it.
Once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell him.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? He needs something a little more...
Persuasive.
Yes!
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
Today, school kids rely on the internet for so many things: homework, math, research. But what about kids who don't have internet at home? Hello, I'm Theo Gregory, Wilmington City Council President. The internet is essential, as many as 80% of low-income families do not have access at home, including many right here in Wilmington. So help bridge this gap by supporting local broadband adoption programs. Let's get more students and families connected to the power of the internet.
Are designed to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of distinguished Wilmington citizens who excel in the fields of arts, athletics, business, education, environment, and health or science. And right now, well, we have a fill-in for Dorian, who is going to be here, but we're also always so glad to see Miss Cheryl Mitchell here. And we have Sheila and Winfrey-Brown, and you guys are here to tell us all about Wilmington Awards and how people can be involved and what this means for the community, right?
Yes, we are.
Yay,
we are
okay.
really excited to be here. And thank you so much, Shannon, for having us.
Glad you
We
guys could
appreciate the opportunity. We just want to say that for the Wilmington Awards, we want to recognize our citizens who live in the city of Wilmington, and also those who live outside of the city of Wilmington, but who also provide service to Wilmington. We want to recognize them for the outstanding job that they have done for us for the past year, particularly as you stated in the areas of the arts and athletics, in education, in the areas of faith, in business, those who have done an outstanding job for us. In addition to that, we really are focusing on our senior citizens. They have lifelong experiences here in the city of Wilmington, and they have contributed so much to the success of the city, particularly as residents of the city who have lifelong residency in Wilmington. So we do want to recognize them as well. Our event is going to be held the first Wednesday in October. But we also have to get nominations from the community for those recipients of the Wilmington Awards. We do want to let the community know that if you have received an award between 2008 and 2012. Unfortunately, you will not be eligible for one in this year, which is our 12th annual Wilmington Awards. We want to also recognize and give those who haven't received an award the opportunity for recognition at this time. So we're excited about that. But some of the eligibility requirements are leadership and community building, advocacy for educational excellence. We're looking for individuals who have furthered economic opportunity in the city, promotion of social justice, advancement always of cultural awareness, and involvement in the music and arts to promote a better understanding and greater acceptance of music and arts, particularly in our schools.
Now let me ask you, because we're talking about individuals, so could a group also be nominated for an award?
Yes. The categories are individual adult, individual youth, and business and organizations. And they can be nominated for the various categories.
Now, you talked about, people that have been involved in, arts and science. So what would be some examples of their involvement?
I think for the community involvement, if you are volunteering after school for tutoring some of our young people, ensuring that they have better opportunities in the areas, let's say reading and math and science. Those individuals who make that time commitment, time sacrifice, we're very interested in recognizing them. If you've contributed to the music, let's say promoting music in the schools or even outside for the children to better understand music, because it's a dying art. Some in our school systems is not being promoted as well, but there are opportunities for children outside of the school system to learn about music, to be engaged in art, such as, going through the Christina Cultural Arts Center. You have those opportunities. Individuals who give of themselves and of their time. It's that personal sacrifice that really makes a difference for us.
How would you say that the Wilmington Awards maybe empowers the communities or individuals or organizations?
I think it empowers them to become more involved, to become more aware of the benefits of this great city that we live in and what this great city has to offer us.
And I think it also allows us to say, we thank you, we appreciate what you do, and it instills a sense of community, that you're not just limited to your isolated area or just your one environment. You can bring a community together, do projects together, ways to improve, as Cheryl has stated, ways to improve our city, engage in our community, and engaging others. We want people to be excited about the city of Wilmington, working here, living here, being of service to others. That's just one of the things we want to recognize, a few of the things we want to recognize them for.
Now let's talk about the requirements for the nominations. This is a good part, right?
It is a good part. It is a good part. I'm going to defer to Cheryl.
We have the nomination form is available on our website. You can go to www.wilmingtonde.gov and just select Wilmington Awards, and you can fill out the application online, the nomination form online. Nomination categories are arts, athletics, business, city employee, community service, education, environmental, faith, health and science, heroism, human, civil rights, and senior citizens awards.
Okay, okay.
So we want to truly recognize those who provide service, because we really are here to be in service one to another, and that's really utmost importance for us, to help those who are less fortunate, to encourage our young people to do better, to strive for better, to go the extra mile in what we do, to ensure that everyone is as successful as they can be, encouraging and uplifting one another and inspiring communities to do better.
Now I'm glad you said about inspiring the community to do better. Why would you tell the members of the community that it is important for them to participate in this?
It is important because what we want to do is be all-inclusive. We don't want to have just a limited representation. We want all of the city, communities, and individuals who live outside of the city, but who support the city. We want everyone to be represented at that time. But to instill in the community, to come together, do projects together, encourage each other. You know, where you live, while we may be at work the most of our waking hours, but where we live is just as important. To have a safe environment, to work together, to ensure the safety of others, to make sure that our communities are clean, and it represents where we live and represents us well. We want to take pride in where we live, so that when people come through the city and they're driving through, they're going to say, yes, this is a place where I want to be. This is a place where I want to reside. It is also a place where I know I can grow. The city looks great and it's going to be greater. We're just excited about the opportunities that we can present to others through recognizing them for their service.
Very nicely said. So before we go, we want to remind everybody the deadline for nominating folks and where should they go again, and the date of the actual awards. But they can check all of this information out still on the website too, right?
Right. The deadline for nomination forms are Monday, June 2nd. We have a dynamic committee, just enthusiastic, hardworking committee. For questions, folks can contact me, Cheryl Mitchell, at 302-576-2115, or Dorian Snyder at 302-576-3121.
Okay. Well, I'm glad they sent you two ladies, two great ambassadors for the Wilmington Awards Committee. Thank you for being here, and we hope everybody really goes on and checks it out and nominates someone in their community that definitely deserves an award.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. When we return, get ready for Summer Blood Challenge after these messages. You guys did great. Yeah, let me do it.
I'm like,
Concerns and issues.
that's why we created a special email address that will connect you to all of us in City Council.
Drop us an email about things going on in your neighborhood with Community Events 22 at wilmingtonde.gov. That's Community Events 22 at wilmingtonde.gov.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but things changed. Teaching didn't seem that cool anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Amazing things are happening in teaching, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
The Summer Blood Challenge is a fun and easy way to help the Delmarva community and save local lives. Christine Serio is here now with all of the details. Christine, Summer Blood Challenge.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, wow. Wow, it rolls around so quick.
I know, it really does.
It really does. But we're excited to kick it off. It kicks off on May 19th. Companies and organizations have until May 6th to register online. So, and it's a summer long from May 19th to September 13th. And it's just a fun way for companies and organizations to have a friendly competition and see how many people they can encourage to come out and give blood, and then they earn points that way. And there's great prizes and bragging rights for the companies, of course, that have the top.
Did we ever
blood
win?
savers.
Did the city of Wilmington ever win?
I don't believe that you've won recently, but you always have a great showing. You always do a great job. Paula Gatos, the resident she's really
Dracula.
Great. She is. She's great in organizing blood drives in the summer and really encouraging people to come out. So you do always have a great showing for sure in your category.
Yeah, but we want to win.
Right.
At least once.
Well, hey, maybe this is your year.
Well,
You never
okay,
know.
if a person who goes to donate blood has never donated blood before, that counts as like triple points, right?
That's like double points.
Okay,
Yes.
double points.
So you get points points for the type of blood donation. So if you come in and give like a regular like whole blood donation, that's 1 point. If you give double red blood cells, that's 2 points. And if you give platelets, it's 2 points. And then if you're a first-time donor, you get a one-time bonus of 2 points. And if you're between the ages of 17 and 35, you get a one-time bonus of 2 points. Because we're really trying to encourage younger donors, you know, to come out, see how easy it is, have a great experience, and hopefully continue to give more often as well.
Now, you said like about the platelets and all of that. And,
yes.
You know, so is that all done like in, do I have to be out like this, you know what I mean? Or is that all done at one time?
No, not necessarily. There's different ways of doing it. Platelets is a little bit of a longer process and is an automated process. And what happens is we take your blood out, we separate it into the components right there as you're sitting there into this machine that's right next to you. And you can do it in one arm. And then it separates it out. We give you your red blood cells back and we keep the platelets. And we actually also give you a saline solution that kind of makes up for the volume that you've lost in the platelets.
Now, is this guy, now I know there's a husband and wife now, is this guy doing the platelets one?
No, he's doing regular blood.
He's doing regular
donation.
blood?
Yes.
Now, what about the husband and wife? What is Paul Colsey doing? The husband and wife, is she doing platelets?
No, she's actually on one of our mobile buses. So some of our locations, we have 4 permanent locations. So there's 4 centers people can come in. One is right here in downtown Wilmington, right on Market Street on the 900 block. And then we have one in Newark, one in Dover, and one in Salisbury. But we also have a number of mobile locations that we do throughout the community because we know it's not always convenient to come to one of our centers. So we try to come to you.
Right.
And so sometimes if we can't do a setup inside the location, we bring one of our mobile buses, and so you can go on, and there's about 4 different seats, and you can do that there.
You do make it easy to donate.
We try.
Have no excuse not to donate.
Yes.
So so platelets is a little bit longer, but that counts. So if you're a corporation and you've got people that never donated, if they donate the platelets, and then what was the other one you said they could donate?
If you're a first-time donor, or if you're between the ages of 17 and 35 as a young donor. You could come in if you're a first-time donor and you give double red or platelets, and you're between the ages of 17 and 35, you could get 6 points in one visit, which is a lot of points for your company. So
that's a lot of points.
It is.
That is a lot of points.
And we make it so the length of the competition, you know, is May 19th to September 13th. So, and you can only give whole blood every 56 days. But if you give the first week of the competition, you're able to give 3 times during that time period. And then platelets you can give every 2 weeks. That's something that you can do more often. So if you're a platelet donor, you can do that and earn more points throughout the competition.
How much blood does the blood bank need to have on hand throughout, you know, each quarter or every year?
Well, every year it's about 83,000 units of blood that comes into our centers, and then from there it's separated out into different products. So every year we ship out to the 16 Delmarva hospitals. So we supply blood and blood products to all the Delmarva hospitals. So if you ever need blood anywhere in this area, it comes from the blood bank. And so once it's separated into its parts and the components, it's over 100,000 different blood products that are shipped out every year from us. So we need about 350 donors a day to make sure that we have sufficient amounts of supplies. And right now we actually are low on our O-neg. O-negative blood type is universal. Come on in. We need you. We need you.
God.
Come on in. No. We'll be nice, I promise. But O-negative is a universal blood type, so anyone can receive that. So the hospitals are always in need of that because if there's a trauma or an emergency where they haven't had a chance to blood type the person, they can use O-negative. So we're always in need of that, and actually right now our supply is very low, so if anyone's able to come out, we would appreciate that and encourage folks to come out and give.
Look at how Paul Colsey's looking at me with that look in his eye.
Come in.
Yeah. And we want to remind, blood doesn't last forever, right? Like once you guys get it, you can't keep it for like years and years and years.
No, whole blood only has a shelf life of 42 days. So from the time that you come in and give blood, within 42 days it has to be transfused. Platelets only have a shelf life of 5 days.
Wow.
And 2 of those days are testing and to making sure that it's safe, and then within the next 3 days it has to be transfused. So we're always in need of platelets as well. So anyone that's able to do that, we appreciate it.
And let's tell everybody it's the 60th anniversary,
right,
of the blood bank. Woohoo! So what happens on the big 6-0?
Well, you know, we're doing small celebrations throughout the year. We did have a big anniversary party where we invited our top donors and the folks that have been really dedicated to supporting us over the years and really honored them. And we had some of the folks that have been saved by blood donations come and speak just to reiterate to everyone how important it is and what an impact you have on the community. You're changing someone's life. Someone is alive today because you gave blood. And I mean, that's very powerful. And to hear them speak, and it's not every day that everyone can say, hey, I saved a life today, because we're not all police officers or medics and things like that. But if you give blood, you truly are saving someone's life, because there's no substitute for it. There's no other way of replacing someone's blood than having someone that was generous enough to take the time to donate it. So,
well, Christine, I'm just sitting here wondering, I'm like, wow, 60 years, but I don't even know how blood banks started.
I know, it's interesting. Actually, it was a gentleman who was an insurance man here in Wilmington, James McCluskey.
No way.
Yes, right here in Wilmington, and he saw that the hospitals were having a lot of shortages, and if you went in and you needed blood, you had to find people to come in and replace the blood for you. Whatever you used, you had to have people come in and give for you, and there was just a great deal of shortages, and he thought there has to be a better way. So he rallied the community, and this was back in 1954. In August of 1954, they started the blood bank, and it started off that they really just encouraged people to go to the hospitals and give, and so they scheduled those for the people, and then throughout the years it progressed to where we became what is known as a wet blood bank, where we collect the blood, we test it, we process it, we do it all on site, and the hospitals don't need to do any of that, and then we distribute it to the hospitals throughout the Delmarva area.
So is this one like the oldest blood bank?
In our area?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. And we're the only independent blood center that serves the Delmarva area.
What?
So, yes, because we have agreements with all the hospitals that we supply their blood, so.
How interesting is that? So you're telling me that a guy from Delaware is literally responsible for starting the blood bank?
Absolutely, yes.
Wow.
Yes,
I
right here in
guessed.
Wilmington.
Who would have thunk it?
I know,
Right?
I know, it's great.
Yeah, it is.
And thanks to him, 20,000 patients a year receive the blood they need, so.
Yeah, thank you. What was his name? Mr.
James McCluskey.
Thank you, Mr. McCluskey. So what's the future for the blood bank?
The future is we're always looking for innovative ways and new testing. We've expanded our laboratory. We bring in new equipment, and we have very extensive testings that we do, and we're expanding those tests for all of the hospitals so we can do more for them in-house than them having to do any in their locations. We just launched a new membership plan. So there are new benefits to our members, including, they can earn points every time they come in to give blood and then redeem them for online rewards. We also are adding new wellness and health check benefits to all of our donors. Right now we offer glucose screening, but we'll in the future be offering cholesterol screening, full blood chem panels, offering a prescription drug discount card, discounts to gym memberships, counseling on diabetes prevention, and nutritional counseling and those types of things. Because obviously a healthy donor is a donor that can give more often. And we know with a lot of the changes in the healthcare that there are some things people can't afford to do anymore. So if we can provide that to them, in exchange for them coming in and giving blood and saving lives, we're happy to do it.
Wow.
So.
Thanks, Christine. Before we go, if anybody wants to find out more about the blood bank, donating, even funding, if they could donate funds or...
Yes, absolutely. We are a nonprofit, so it's tax deductible, any contributions anyone would like to give, but you can do all of that online at delmarvablood.org, or you can call in at 1-888-8-BLOOD-8. And then we also do have a free app on the iPhone or Android you can download where you can schedule your appointment right from your phone.
And remember, if you're O negative,
please come in all the time. Yeah, we need you. Yeah.
The blood bank wants you.
Right. We need everyone, but
that was my Dracula voice.
That was very good.
At me? Did you think? Thank you. He didn't think so. He's giving me the crazy look. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Sounds great.
Maybe next time you come back, can you bring one of your highest donors?
Sure, yes, I would love to.
Yeah,
and we have some really fantastic people that are regular donors. We have one gentleman that just hit over 300 platelet donations. So I'd love to bring one of them back. Yeah, and it's inspiring to hear what motivates them as well to give.
That's the one we want to come back with you.
I will bring him back with me.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
CARE Delaware and the Alzheimer Association Delaware Valley chapter will join us next. Yeah, bring him back.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Accidents happen. So do huge medical bills. Find out how to get health insurance coverage by visiting choosehealthde.com.
CARE Delaware is a service provided by Delaware Health and Social Services Division of Services for Aging and Adults with Physical Disabilities to assist caregivers. Caregivers are family members, friends, or others who help take care of older persons. Caregivers are also older relatives, such as grandparents who care for children. Joanna, Shea, and Katie Macklin are here now to tell us about the relationship between CARE Delaware and the Alzheimer Association Delaware Valley Chapter. Joanna, that was a lot to say, so I'm going to let you have it from here.
Well, we've coordinated with them, and just recently we've developed what's called the Alzheimer's State Plan. And what that is going to be a collaborative effort to bring us together with caregivers as well as individuals that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
So why did you decide to go ahead and develop this? Was there, you see there's like a growing number of residents in Delaware with Alzheimer's?
Actually, the plan was developed following the national plan that came out in 2012, and they asked the individual states to develop a state plan because of the increased economic, social, and emotional need that and the impact that Alzheimer's has on the person themselves as well as their caregivers. And what they wanted states to do was to set up a creative plan to start addressing this, because this is really, the numbers are increasing. And I know Katie will tell you more about the numbers.
Right, so this is how Katie fits into everything.
Absolutely.
Right, and we were really happy to be able to partner with the state and with the Division of Services for Aging and Adults with Physical Disabilities on the creation of this plan. And the plan was really developed in a very collaborative fashion. We brought to the table a variety of stakeholders from the Alzheimer's community, people with the disease, caregivers, families, providers, the state, advocates, to really provide input and suggestions as to how Delaware can best address the Alzheimer's epidemic today and support those who are impacted today, as well as prepare for those who may be impacted in generations to come. You know, as Joanna just said, Alzheimer's exacts such a significant economic, emotional, social toll on our state, and unfortunately it's only going to get worse and fast. Right now, you know, here in Delaware, we are our aging population is growing at such a rapid rate, coupled with an influx of retirees across our state. Yeah. And with Alzheimer's, we know age is the greatest risk factor. So along with the increasing aging population here in our state, unfortunately will be an increase in Delawareans who are developing Alzheimer's. And along with that, an increase in the family members who are, you know, going to be becoming caregivers
right.
for those with the disease.
Right.
Right now, we estimate that there are more than 26,000 Delawareans who currently have Alzheimer's disease or related disorder. And again, that number is only going to grow, and it's only going to grow very quickly as our state continues to grow in our aging population. And recognizing that input, we thought it was so important that we come together to develop this plan. Our plan is really a blueprint as to how, again, Delaware can best support those who are impacted today, as well as prepare for the future tidal wave to come.
Right. You know, Joanna, and listen to what Katie is saying. So, you know, when you get, when this whole thing comes down from the higher level and it says, okay, states, this is what we do. Had you already been seeing, you know, CARE Delaware, had you already been receiving requests for people that needed help because they're providing care for people who have Alzheimer's?
Absolutely. Every day, our community service program, we get referrals in, and we have a numerous amount of clients that do have Alzheimer's or other related dementias. And my caregiver resource coordinators, we were just talking about this, we're always sending out packets on Alzheimer's. The Broyles Coaches book, which is a small tool that we use that really gives a caregiver some guidelines on what to expect and what to do when these behaviors happen. We kind of formulate and put together a whole packet that we send to these caregivers, and that number is increasing every day. And like Katie said, our population is booming, and in Sussex County, retirees are going there, and this disease is starting to be much more prevalent, more diagnosable, or at least they can see the signs. And we've actually done some certification and trainings for our staff so that we can help caregivers know what to look for and how to start working with the clients.
About how many people do you think in the state of Delaware are living with Alzheimer's?
So we estimate that there are more than 26,000 who are living with Alzheimer's and related disorders. So Alzheimer's is just one form of dementia. There are many, many different forms of dementia. And our plan is actually the Delaware state plan to address Alzheimer's disease and related disorders. So
That's
we want
a big
to
number.
ensure
That 26,000 is
very
a lot of people.
significant, yes.
Right. What are some of the challenges that these caregivers are facing?
Well, certainly Alzheimer's disease exacts a significant financial, physical, and emotional toll on caregivers who are often have to witness as well as provide exhaustive round-the-clock care to their loved one with the disease. We estimate here in the state of Delaware that there are more than 51,000 Delawareans who are caregivers for persons with Alzheimer's disease. And in 2012, I believe the statistic was that those 51,000 caregivers provided close to 60 million hours of unpaid care.
Unpaid care. What?
So, one of the major goals of our plan is to strengthen supports for caregivers, as well as increase public awareness of Alzheimer's disease, as well as the systems that are in place to support families who are impacted. Because we don't want caregivers to feel like they are going about this journey of Alzheimer's disease in isolation. We want them to know that there is help and support out there in the community.
How long is it, and this is macabre, but I guess, how long is it typically between the diagnosis and a person dying?
Well, stages can last really anywhere from 2 to 20 years. So we at the Alzheimer's Association work with families whose loved one may have been diagnosed, they're going through the stages over a 20-year time period. We say average lifespan after diagnosis is about 8 years, but
Lord.
It really can vary from person to person.
But it's just like, I'm wondering, okay, so if it's 2 to 20 years, do they progressively get, I don't know, do you have like a holding pattern where you don't get that much worse for a few years? You know what I mean?
Well, and again, it can vary. We say, one person with Alzheimer's disease, one person with Alzheimer's, because it really can vary from person to person. But typically, we at the Alzheimer's Association use a 3-stage framework, so early, middle, and late stages. So there are some typical symptoms that happen in most people with Alzheimer's in the early stages, like short-term memory loss is often one of the first symptoms of the disease. And then individuals slowly, lose other cognitive abilities in addition to memory loss. They may have some changes in their visual perception, changes in judgment, changes in personality, until going through the middle and then eventually the late stages.
Well, I am concerned because sometimes I forget things, you know what I mean? But am I too young? You know what I mean? Is that a question everybody wants to know? If you forget things, and I think oh God, do I can't remember this. I'm like, why can't I remember? Am I too young to have Alzheimer's?
No, so certainly, just like our
I'm in
sight
my 40s,
changes.
I'll just say that.
Well, just like our sight changes, our hearing changes as we age, there are definitely normal age-related changes that happen in our brain.
Okay.
And I'm sure you two have a lot going on in your life. So, with all of that, it can be easy to have some of those, memory losses, memory changes.
Okay. Thank you,
Juggling.
Katie. I'm going to keep checking up with you, though. I'm glad you came in, Joanna. I really am, and I just want everybody to know that CARE Delaware plays such an important part in a lot of services that it provides to the state, and I think people really need to know and understand that. So I'm glad you came, and I'm glad you brought Katie with you, and I'm glad to see that you guys are forever growing and branching out, adding new stuff in all the time.
Partnering all the time,
And I just wanted to add, too, that we at the Alzheimer's Association, we cover the entire state of Delaware, and we offer a constellation of programs and services starting from a 24/7 helpline. I call that our conduit to all our programs and services because it's how people can learn about what we do and how we might be able to help them. We offer consumer education programs, professional training, support groups. We're here to help those who are impacted by the disease.
And before we go, if anybody wants to contact CARE Delaware and find out about all the programs you offer, what should they do?
They should contact our ADRC, our 1-800 number, which I do have memorized, but can never remember it when I'm on the spot, 1-800-223-9074, and just state what they're asking for, and then we'll hook them up with the right service or with the Alzheimer's Association.
Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. It's definitely a pleasure. And we'll see you back here again, Joanna.
Okay, absolutely.
All right. Everybody get your bicycles ready and ride for a great cause. We'll tell you what we mean when we come back. There's Joanna's right there. Because when you go, I said this already.
I want my EdTV.
I want my EdTV.
I want my EdTV. I want my EdTV. I want my EdTV.
Now. I want my EdTV.
I want my EdTV.
Is more than just a cycling event. It's a life-changing event. Riders of all levels will join forces in the fight to stop diabetes and raise critical funds for diabetes research, education, and advocacy in support of the American Diabetes Association. Susan Polikoff and Susan Forbes are here now with all of the details on this year's event, the two Susans. Hey. Good morning. So, okay, diabetes. What should people know about diabetes?
People should know, first of all, in the state of Delaware, over 8% of our citizens have been diagnosed with diabetes. Those are the people who are diagnosed. That doesn't encompass people who haven't been diagnosed. But to answer your question, what should people know about diabetes? Most of adult onset diabetes is preventable.
Now, that's a good one. How is that, Susan P.?
Well, Shannon H. That is because the biggest factor in diabetes is being overweight and obesity. So if people will, it's the same old song, different chronic disease, same old song. Diet, exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, being screened.
Let me ask you something now. I don't know if this is the truth, but I hear this all the time. People say, oh, you shouldn't eat all that chocolate or all that candy. You're going to get diabetes. Is that true?
I'm not a clinical person, but I have to tell you that chocolate, I'm not speaking about diabetes here. I'm just telling you, chocolate answers many things. So if we can table that, I will certainly be happy to call our board chair, Dr. Lenhart, and ask him about it.
Please do, because I always want to know, and I hear you on the diet part, and I understand that diet is critical. And I know that a lot of African Americans tend to have a higher instances of diabetes too, right?
That is absolutely correct. And on that line, the American Diabetes Association in Wilmington is getting ready to launch a program called Live Empowered, where we have programs that address issues specific to the African American population in the city, and provide education, provide screening, provide awareness, and most important of all, if you've been diagnosed, how to successfully manage your diabetes.
Right.
Life isn't over when you're diagnosed with diabetes, but it's more than, oh, I have diabetes, I'm going to take a shot every day, a shot of insulin. You definitely need to manage it, and that's the key to living a good life with diabetes.
Let me ask you, are African Americans less likely to be diagnosed early in the disease?
You know, I hate to say something that I'm not 100% sure about, that I can give you factual information, but what I will tell you is that screening is the key. So no matter what race you are, if you're going to the doctor, if you're being screened not only for diabetes but for your cholesterol, for all the other basic things that we use our blood to determine about us, that's where you can get the heads up that says, hey, you're headed into the danger zone here. Make these changes, make these improvements, and there's a good chance that you'll be able to avoid a diagnosis of diabetes. But if you just continue more the same and you have been screened and have been warned,
yeah, like I guess
our
you're
physiology
just
takes control of us. I mean, you know, what can I say?
You're saying it. You're saying, yeah, right. You've been warned.
None of us, unfortunately, are special. You know, we talk about our children saying, "Oh, well, that'll never happen to me," in their risk-taking behaviors during adolescence, young adulthood, and as adults, I think a lot of us think, "Oh, well, that'll never happen to me." And when you think about what's really overweight from a clinical perspective in terms of what's overweight to looking good, we are light years apart.
Yeah, listen, we're here.
We are light years apart.
So let me ask you guys, now, do you do anything that maybe helps with keeping people's weight in perspective? You know, so if they come to, you know, the American Diabetes Association, local chapter, do you have programs that help them with this?
Components of our Live Empowered, which is the program we'll be launching this year for the African American community, and also our Por Tu Familia, which is a program we're launching for the Hispanic Latino community, has components around physical activity and nutrition. We also have our website, which is diabetes.org, and there's a plethora of information there. And also the local office is also a resource. We're a small team but mighty, and we have some basic brochures that we're happy to share that will hopefully provoke people to take it to the next level and get more information.
Now, Tour de Cure.
Yes.
That's what we're here to talk about. So now I'm going to put my helmet on, get my bike out, you know.
Wonderful.
All right. I'm thinking about it. It's got a little rust on the chain. I probably haven't been on it. I don't even know if the helmet still fits. But we want everybody to come out and ride for a great cause.
It's in 10 days.
Oh, I might not be ready to ride.
It's on May 3rd. We're leaving from Lumps Pond. We have a great location this year, great new location, and we would love for you to join us.
Wow. Tour de Cure. So when people are riding on, when people come to the Tour de Cure on that day, what should we expect besides a bike ride?
You should expect a wonderful crowd of people at Lumps Pond. You should expect a lot of activity, a lot of excitement. You should expect a team of Red Riders, who are those who ride with diabetes, who are differentiated from the rest of the group by their gorgeous red jerseys. You should expect a group of committed people who know that there's a way to get to the end of this disease, and their contribution toward that is riding in the tour and raising the funds to do that.
How many riders did you have last year?
Last year, I think we had close to 100 riders, and this year we've exceeded our number, and we hope to have between 150 and 175 on Saturday the 3rd. We're hovering at about 125.
Okay, so let me see, when they come out for the ride, where do they ride? How long is the ride? Because
we have multiple levels. So for yourself, you know, if you haven't been riding in a while,
Lord,
come on out and do the 10-mile ride.
10 miles?
Sure. Delaware's flat. You can do it. It's
10
not
miles
a problem.
will be over before you know it.
We've got a 10-mile, we've got a 35-mile, and a 63-mile ride.
Okay.
So, and they have different times for registration. You know, so, you know, if you're coming out for a 10-mile ride, you don't need to arrive until 10 o'clock in the morning. So you can, you know, take your time getting there and then come out for the festivities. There's also a kids zone keeps the little ones active and busy, and
food. Don't forget the food.
Yes,
Oh, everybody
food.
loves
There's always
food.
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 Healthy choices.
Healthy
Absolutely.
choices, good choices, plenty of food, and plenty of information. Our advocacy arm of ADA will be there, and several of our partners who are committed as well.
And before we go, really quick, I know we got the Father Awards coming up, right? So we want everybody to remember that. I just want you to make sure you mention that, because it's Father Awards, and when's that take place, and what do people need to do?
Okay, there's Father of the Year. We have 4 fathers this year. What you really need to do is look in the May issue of Delaware Today, since we are on a tight timeline here.
I know, Susan. I'm sorry.
That's
it is my
okay.
fault. I got
But there is one thing before we end, if I may. I'd be remiss if I didn't applaud the city of Wilmington, who is truly committed to the city, to the citizens of the city, and to the American Diabetes Association, to making sure that this epidemic gets under control. And I will tell you that without the help of Ron Morris, who is a resident of the city of Wilmington and someone who
Mr.
I think you know
Morris.
well,
Yes.
Mike Brown and Theo Gregory, as well as Tanny Washington and Edith Pridgeon, they've all worked collaboratively with me to make sure that this ride goes off and that there's a presence there. And we're going to have riders from the Urban Bike Project and from the City of Wilmington Police Department.
All right.
So that's the commitment that makes a difference.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, ladies. The
Thank
two
you.
Susans here. And you got to come back, keep us up to date on the fight against diabetes, and let us know all the other great events you have coming around.
We'd love to. Thanks for having us, Shannon.
All right, thank you. Window in Wilmington will be back after these messages.
Child support clients, do you want your money faster? Sign up today to receive your funds electronically by either direct deposit into an existing checking or savings account, or the new First Aid Family Card, a prepaid MasterCard account that is credited whenever a payment is made into your child support case. For more information, visit us online at www.dhss.delaware.gov/DCSE. Or you can reach us on the phone in Newcastle County by calling 577-7171, in Kent County 739-8299, or in Sussex County 856-5386. Thank you.
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow. My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Before we go today, we'd like to tell you about a few fun things happening around town. Every first Friday of the month, Art on the Town takes place at various locations in downtown Wilmington. Enjoy the latest art exhibitions in the downtown and greater Wilmington area. For more information and exhibit locations, visit artloopwilmingtonde.com. At the Delaware Center for the Contemporary Arts, check out Mark Harris and Carmel Buckley, Sparrow Come Back Home. This project is a temporary monument of 280 decal ceramic tiles that display the front and back LP record covers of the entire oeuvre of Trinidadian Mighty Sparrow, one of the most prolific and least known singer-songwriters of the Caribbean. This free exhibit runs through June 8th. For more information, call 302-656-6466 or visit thedcca.org.
Follow or count.
Thanks for tuning in. For everybody here at WITN Channel 22, I'm Shannon Harris. See you next time.
Yay!